VanLuuXuong, feeling a mixture of emotions, quickly responded, "It's okay, really." MacXanh tersely said, "Good," and then glanced outside, asking, "Did you see someone run by here just now?" Startled, VanLuuXuong replied, "No, I didn't see anyone." Hearing her response, MacXanh grew suspicious. VanLuuXuong became even more anxious, thinking, "Why did I lie to him? If that person is truly one of my kind, then I'm harming them by not revealing the truth." Before she could reconsider, their actions spoke louder than her thoughts. "When you arrived, I saw it," she said. MacXanh pressed her for details, and VanLuuXuong explained that someone had jumped out of the window just in front of her. MacXanh, seemingly unconvinced, accused her of collaborating with VanLuuXuong and deceiving him. VanLuuXuong vehemently denied the accusation, claiming she had never heard the name VanLuuXuong before that night. MacXanh, frustrated, questioned her further, expressing disbelief in her story. VanLuuXuong, feeling unjustly accused, argued back, stating that she had no reason to lie, and that MacXahn's lack of trust hurt her. Their argument escalated, and MacXanh, infuriated, was on the verge of physical confrontation. However, he restrained himself and sternly told VanLuuXuong to take a day to think it over. Despite the tension, he cared enough to urge her to reconsider her actions. As MacXanh walked away, VanLuuXuong felt a mix of anger, disappointment, and concern. MHai arrived, inquiring about MacXahn's well-being. VanLuuXuong tried to explain, but was cut off as MacXanh returned, demanding that MHai take her away. VanLuuXuong, realizing she was being taken somewhere against her will, desperately clung to MacXanh, questioning his lack of trust. MHai, witnessing the tension, intervened, advising MacXanh to give her a chance to explain. In the midst of this, MacXanh observed the situation, contemplating the complexities of their relationship. As MacXanh left with VanLuuXuong, MacXanh approached, offering comforting words and suggesting that MacXahn's mistrust might be rooted in past betrayals. Later, in a quiet and somber moment, MacXanh knelt before his mother's grave, revealing his painful past. VanLuuXuong, transformed into a fox, struggled against MacXahn's grip. Despite her resistance, MacXanh gently assured her that he wouldn't harm her. As their emotions unfolded, MacXanh recounted his troubled childhood, marked by betrayal and manipulation within the Mackie family. He explained how his mother intervened to save him from being killed by his own father, but ended up using a poison that he naturally resisted. MacXahn's eyes revealed the depth of his emotional scars. Meanwhile, VanLuuXuong, still a fox, struggled against MacXahn's hold. MacXanh, seeming to soften, held her close, acknowledging the difficulties in their lives. Just as a moment of understanding seemed to emerge, a rustling sound interrupted their connection. MacXanh, witnessing the scene, approached with a piece of advice, suggesting that VanLuuXuong should speak the truth about MacXahn's mother. VanLuuXuong, caught in a dilemma, debated whether she should reveal the significance of the Ngotduonchi card to MacXanh. As they faced the complexities of their intertwined destinies, the atmosphere hung heavy with unresolved emotions. VanLuuXuong, still astonished, listened as MacXanh continued to reveal his troubled past. He explained how he had been manipulated by his father into becoming a tool for the family's rise to power, using him as a sword to climb the social ladder. MacXahn's bitterness and twisted personality were a result of the circumstances that pushed him into madness. As VanLuuXuong absorbed the shocking revelations, she couldn't help but draw parallels between her own life and MacXahn's. Both were individuals who resisted following the predetermined paths set by their parents. The tragic end of MacXahn's mother and his father's attempts to control his destiny painted a picture of a life full of betrayal and manipulation. Feeling a deep sense of empathy, VanLuuXuong thought, "He's just like me, someone who doesn't want to conform to the fate imposed by their parents." but he seems even more pitiful, never receiving his father's love and lacking a normal childhood. Witnessing MacXanh kneel before his mother's grave, VanLuuXuong transformed into a fox and tried to escape his grip. However, MacXanh, surprisingly gentle, assured her that he wouldn't harm her. Their connection, marked by shared pain and resistance, seemed to deepen in that moment. Suddenly, a rustling sound disrupted the emotional atmosphere. MacXanh, still holding VanLuuXuong, turned to see Halangmin approaching. Observing the scene, Halangmin's expression revealed a mix of surprise and curiosity. As MacXanh thanked VanLuuXuong for listening, she blushed and squirmed out of his embrace, rushing away as if propelled by an unseen force. MacXanh, left standing there with a dumbfounded look, wondered, could it be true that demons say things like this? He mused about the unexpected turn of events and the mysterious nature of VanLuuXuong. Later, VanLuuXuong, in fox form, paced around her room restlessly. She contemplated returning the Ngoc card to MacXanh the next day, unsure of how to proceed. The memory of MacXahn's painful past and his mother's last wish weighed heavily on her mind. The next day, VanLuuXuong brought the Ngoc card to MacXahn's room. When he saw it, MacXanh was surprised and inquired about how she obtained it. VanLuuXuong, still feeling a bit resentful, explained how she risked herself to help him retrieve the Ngoc using her invisibility spell. MacXanh, realizing the sacrifice VanLuuXuong made for him, expressed gratitude. VanLuuXuong, in turn, recounted the events of the previous night and how she had risked exposure to help him. MacXanh, feeling remorseful, apologized for doubting her and acknowledged the value of her efforts. In a surprising turn, MacXanh embraced VanLuuXuong, thanking her sincerely. VanLuuXuong, taken aback, couldn't believe that a powerful and domineering figure like MacXanh could show vulnerability and gratitude. As their emotions settled, MacXanh offered compensation to VanLuuXuong for her troubles. VanLuuXuong, seizing the opportunity, laid out 3 conditions. She insisted that MacXanh refrain from physical violence against her, avoid baseless suspicions, and be more considerate of others' opinions. MacXanh, realizing the necessity of change, reluctantly agreed to VanLuuXuong's conditions. VanLuuXuong, satisfied with the agreement, left MacXanh with a playful smile. MacXanh, now faced with a different perspective, pondered the need to reassess his domineering nature. VanLuuXuong, back in her room, couldn't believe the turn of events. She thought about MacXahn's unexpected vulnerability and the possibility of influencing his behavior. However, her thoughts were interrupted as she remembered VanLuuXuong, prompting her to question MacXanh about her identity. MacXanh, tense at the mention of VanLuuXuong, responded with guarded suspicion. VanLuuXuong, determined to uncover the truth, pressed him for details about VanLuuXuong. MacXanh, reluctant to reveal too much, only disclosed that VanLuuXuong was the world's #1 assassin. The air hung heavy with secrets and unresolved mysteries as the 2 individuals navigated the complexities of their newfound understanding. VanLuuXuong was astonished. The world's #1 assassin always had dangerous counterparts. With a shiver, he cautiously asked if MacXanh held a grudge against that woman. MacXanh, with an icy demeanor, responded that he didn't hate her, but she, on the other hand, only regretted not killing him. VanLuuXuong, confused about what had transpired between them, asked MacXanh not to inquire further, stating it had nothing to do with her. Biting her lip in contemplation, VanLuuXuong decided to learn more about her own kind. Feeling it was better to investigate independently, she turned to MacXanh, bidding farewell as she needed to go out to buy a few things. MacXanh arrogantly stated that she didn't need to go out for shopping. He could handle it. Nonchalantly waving his hand, a butler suddenly appeared, followed by 2 giggling girls presenting the latest fashion trends. VanLuuXuong, with a dry smile, thanked MacXanh acknowledging him as a true tycoon. She observed the beautiful fox-like girl, born to rule the world and command even a CEO to bow down. Reflecting on her situation, VanLuuXuong was glad she had quickly negotiated an agreement with him earlier. Otherwise, getting out would have been impossible. Walking out, she thought about the peculiar encounter and decided she needed to find clues about her own kind. Determined, she turned back to tell MacXanh she had to leave. Startled, MacXanh questioned her destination. Panicking, VanLuuXuong explained that she was going out to buy a few things. MacXanh, with a commanding tone, stated that she didn't need to venture outside for shopping. With a snap of his fingers, the butler appeared again, and he beckoned two girls to assist VanLuuXuong with the latest fashion trends. While examining various clothing styles, VanLuuXuong muttered her thoughts. MacXanh, sitting on the sofa, calmly sipping coffee, turned and asked, "What are you doing?" He coolly responded that he was just shopping for clothes, suggesting she make a call to the store and have the items brought for her selection. VanLuuXuong couldn't help but admire. "Thank you. You truly are a tycoon." The naturally beautiful fox-like girl, commanding the world, even made a CEO kneel before her. As she walked away, VanLuuXuong pondered, realizing she had to play her cards right today, especially after the swift agreement she had made with MacXanh. Thinking about being constantly by his side, she lamented the day she might become a bird in his cage. Arriving at the building where the auction party was held the previous day, she planned to find clues about the two missing members. Just as she was about to proceed, a hand emerged from behind, and MacXahn's hired companion, the girl who had booked the presidential suite, asked if VanLuuXuong wanted to go with her. Startled, VanLuuXuong agreed hastily, frustrated with the unexpected turn of events. However, she clarified that she was not a companion and expressed her anger. But as she turned to confront the person behind her, the girl jokingly complained about being attacked and wondered why VanLuuXuong would do that. VanLuuXuong feigned anger and asked if she dared to tease her again. Meanwhile, Langhai, mischievously scratching her head, playfully responded, claiming she wouldn't disclose VanLuuXuong's secrets. Teasingly, she suggested VanLuuXuong could have a precious gem from her. LuuXuong, hearing the commotion, remained speechless. VanLuuXuong insisted that Langhai had provoked her, but Langhai, still holding her chest and pretending to be hurt, exclaimed, "Oh dear LuuXuong, she's attacking me." VanLuuXuong, pretending to be angry, asked if she would dare to tease her again, questioning how she managed to break her invisibility technique. Langhai playfully responded, claiming she wouldn't reveal anything and insisting that VanLuuXuong deserved the precious gem. Hearing this, LuuXuong intervened, instructing Langhai to give the gem to VanLuuXuong. But Langhai hesitated, questioning the gem's significance to them. LuuXuong explained that if VanLuuXuong wanted it, she could have it, as it was something MacXanh desired. VanLuuXuong, witnessing the dispute, quickly intervened, explaining to Langhai not to blame her, as she had requested the gem herself. She mentioned the complicated enmity between MacXanh and the other girl, and Langhai, still puzzled, questioned the severity of their grudge. LuuXuong heard her name being mentioned. MacXanh waved his hand casually, saying, "He and I have nothing to do with you, but it's best if you take the opportunity to leave. That guy's dangerous." VanLuuXuong, puzzled, asked, "Why are you all so afraid of his fate?" VanLuuXuong calmly replied, "As foxes, we fear nothing except someone who defies the fate of foxes. He himself is very dangerous. I advise you to stay away for your own good." VanLuuXuong, after hearing her, responded with concern, "I will consider it." Langhai sensed a strange atmosphere and intervened, saying, "All right, the Fox clan is now down to only 3 of us. We must reconcile and help each other." LuuXuong turned away arrogantly, saying, "Just don't mess with me." VanLuuXuong, astonished, commented, She's the world's #1 assassin, and I'm just an ordinary person. Life is indeed not easy. Lang Hai comforted her. Don't listen to her nonsense. That's her nature. Although she's usually cold, she cares a lot about those close to her. We are the last bloodline of the Fox clan, and we'll have to go through a lot in the future. LuuXuong arrogantly mentioned she already has a man. There's no need for her to interact with us. Her man even wants to defeat me. Of course, if she wants, she can go find a man. No need to stay with an iceberg like me. Lang Hai, shocked, said, You have a boyfriend. Lu Tit replied, She not only has a boyfriend, but also used to date that guy. LuuXuong, confused, asked, Who are you asking? Lu Tit clarified, I mean you. At Peter Corporation. MacXanh entered MacXahn's office. MacXanh, unintentionally sitting on the chair, said, I have something to ask you, MacXanh. Inquiring seriously, MacXanh asked, What is it? Tell me. MacXanh, after contemplating for a moment, asked, How do you appease a sulking girl? MacXanh, with a smirk after hearing the question, burst into laughter. Haha, unexpectedly. MacXanh also asks me about love affairs. MacXanh, annoyed, scolded, Of all the people I know, only you are promiscuous. If I don't ask you, who shall I ask? Amused, MacXanh replied, I suggest you take her to the beach or somewhere. Girls love that feeling, like in the Titanic movie. The CEO wants to cheer up his girlfriend, madly giving gifts in the company office. Meanwhile, Simon asked when they would deal with MacXanh. Nan Vien Hang coldly stated that LuuXuong had given up, and she was the only assassin who could compete with MacXanh. Simon, hearing the news, looked as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. His face darkened, wondering how to handle the situation. An Vien Hang smirked and said, Don't worry, we will soon have an opportunity. Just like the Titanic, we're about to find its iceberg. The next day, at the Peter Corporation, MacXanh threw a stack of thick documents on the table, saying, Finish this for me, LuuXuong. LuuXuong, astonished, asked, What is this? Looks like a divorce agreement. MacXanh, holding a small, exquisite box, said, Not only that, but also this. LuuXuong, startled and gradually turning pale, questioned if she wasn't ready. MacXanh opened the box, revealing a pair of jade rings. LuuXuong, amazed, said, Oh, these are the original jade rings, only available through auction. She carefully examined the documents on the table, realizing they were property documents. MacXanh saw LuuXuong's surprise, but felt extremely confident. He teasingly asked, Are you happy now? LuuXuong, in contemplation, muttered, All these things are what I've always wanted. Why is he suddenly giving them to me? MacXanh, sensing her calmness, thought she still wasn't satisfied. So he boldly said, I'm declaring you as my woman. I won't allow you not to be happy. LuuXuong blinked, thinking that this person intended to play the role of a domineering CEO with her. Looking seemingly serious, LuuXuong burst into laughter. MacXanh, somewhat embarrassed, thought that he might need to use his ultimate move. He asked, How about we go to the beach together? LuuXuong questioned, What for? MacXanh mysteriously replied, Don't ask, just come. MacXanh, standing outside, overheard their bizarre conversation. MacXahn's words were indeed awkward. Who invites a girl in such a way? It seemed like a poorly directed CEO drama. LuuXuong, laughing, seemed to understand his intentions, but felt that this method wasn't quite right. MacXanh, with a smirk, thought she hadn't been satisfied yet. So he walked up to her and asked, Are you happy now, LuuXuong? I've declared you as my woman. I won't allow you not to be happy. LuuXuong blinked, and MacXanh, in a bold move, declared, I'm going to take you to the beach. LuuXuong, still puzzled, asked why. MacXanh, without saying a word, embraced her and carried her to the tip of the boat's nose. The skeleton was scared and made a noise. VanLuuXuong, feeling anxious, asked if he was planning to murder her or throw her into the sea to destroy evidence. MacXanh, in a low voice, said, "Don't overthink it." MacXanh, standing nearby, couldn't bear to watch. It seemed like a poorly directed scene. The wind at sea gently blew. VanLuuXuong, standing at the bow of the ship, admired the vast and beautiful seascape. She felt like the female lead in the movie Titanic, experiencing the breathtaking view. MacXanh joined her, asking if she enjoyed the scenery. VanLuuXuong, a bit embarrassed, thanked him and admitted that she liked it. MacXanh, attempting to be romantic, hinted at a hypothetical scenario where he threatened to throw her into the sea unless she became his girlfriend. While VanLuuXuong appreciated the beauty around her, MacXanh playfully teased her about the prospect of spending time together on the cruise. VanLuuXuong, however, managed to keep the atmosphere light, acknowledging the charm of the moment. They explored the interior of the cruise ship, discovering amenities like exquisite dining options, live entertainment, and even gambling tables. VanLuuXuong, feeling a bit anxious, was comforted by MacXanh, who assured her of his protection. Unexpectedly, Diamond, the wealthy tycoon, appeared with his younger brother Hien Vien-du. An Vien Hang, engaged in conversation with Thich Nhat, was surprised by Diamond's presence. Diamond, in a jovial mood, greeted the crowd and expressed interest in joining the game. MacXanh proposed a high-stakes game, suggesting that the winner would have a significant favor from the other. An Vien-du, intrigued, accepted the challenge. MacXanh revealed a precious family heirloom, a 5-phi ring, and stated that the winner would claim it. The atmosphere tensed as the onlookers realized the historical and cultural significance of the ring. VanLuuXuong, feeling pressured, hoped that MacXanh could handle the situation. MacXanh, undeterred, confidently asserted the stakes, and the dice game commenced. Hien Vien-du predicted the outcome, and MacXanh, with a carefree demeanor, rolled the dice. The result favored Hien Vien-du, who joyfully claimed the precious ring. Despite losing the valuable heirloom, MacXanh remained composed, graciously acknowledging the victory. Hien Vien-du expressed gratitude and confidently declared himself the next in line for the family leadership. As the crowd discussed the outcome, VanLuuXuong stood up to leave, but Thich Nhat intercepted her. Thich Nhat, using the opportunity to approach Miss Phan, suggested playing a game. The narrative continued, capturing the unfolding events on the cruise ship. Thich Nhat felt perplexed and annoyed as VanLuuXuong addressed her as Miss Phan and accused her of having a connection with Diamond. Thich Nhat, feeling a bit hurt, mentioned that she only wanted to play with VanLuuXuong to lift her spirits. VanLuuXuong, indifferent to the situation, agreed to play and asked what they should bet on. Thich Nhat, trying to keep the game light-hearted, proposed playing without affecting their relationship. She suggested that if she lost, she would stay away from Diamond for a few days and spend time with VanLuuXuong. However, VanLuuXuong, sensing insincerity, proposed a more serious bet, that if Thich Nhat lost, she would take all the family shares in her possession. Thich Nhat, shocked by the demand, tried to downplay the seriousness of the game, but VanLuuXuong insisted on the stakes. Thich Nhat reluctantly agreed, and the tension escalated. MacXanh intervened, offering to buy the shares, claiming Thich Nhat wasn't worthy of playing against VanLuuXuong. VanLuuXuong continued to taunt Thich Nhat, accusing her of wanting the affection of a domineering tycoon. VanLuuXuong boldly demanded all the family shares if Thich Nhat lost. Thich Nhat, reluctantly agreeing, planned to use the opportunity to win over An Vien Hang. As the confrontation unfolded, MacXanh stepped in to buy the shares, irritating Thich Nhat. VanLuuXuong, with a nonchalant attitude, suggested that accepting money from someone willing to give it wasn't a bad idea, emphasizing the camaraderie among women and discouraging male interference. VanLuuXuong proposed a game of hide-and-seek within the cruise ship, specifying the lounge area as the playing field. Thich Nhat, after contemplating the limited hiding spots, agreed to the challenge. The stage was set for the intense game. As the game commenced, Thich Nhat instructed the staff to thoroughly search for VanLuuXuong. The tension escalated outside the room as onlookers speculated on the outcome. Thich Nhat, unable to find VanLuuXuong, became agitated, demanding her opponent to reveal herself. The clock was ticking, and the crowd anxiously awaited the resolution. The situation became increasingly suspenseful as the minutes passed. The narration continued, capturing the unfolding drama of the hide-and-seek game aboard the cruise ship. At the MacXanh Thien side, MacXanh Thien said I could help him, but he shouldn't harm VanLuuXuong, and he must hand her over to me. MacXanh Thien, overwhelmed by rising water, didn't hesitate much, and as I agreed, he quickly took action. MacXanh Thien suggested distracting MacXahn's attention, as the end of the MacXanh competition was approaching. MacXanh, focused on the event, didn't notice when MacXanh Thien approached him from behind. MacXanh, seemingly concerned about someone stealing his girl, confidently asserted that he wouldn't lose. MacXanh Thien, with a wicked smile, questioned MacXahn's trust in VanLuuXuong, hinting at possible consequences. MacXanh, unaware of the situation, asked about a flying object. MacXanh Thien proudly claimed responsibility for hitting it, but MacXanh remained oblivious to the fact that it was an illusion created by MacXanh Thien. MacXanh Thien, hit by an arrow, was bleeding from the mouth. VanLuuXuong, nervously watching, thought that the time was running out, waiting for the judges to declare the end of the competition. However, suddenly, black smoke appeared under her feet, breaking the invisibility spell. VanLuuXuong realized someone had found her and anxiously wondered who it could be. Thich Nhat, observing the scene, was relieved that the competition was about to end in her favor. However, black smoke enveloped VanLuuXuong, revealing her presence. Thich Nhat, confused, wondered who helped MacXanh. MacXanh confronted VanLuuXuong, expressing concern, but she assured him that she would not lose. Amidst the tension, Thich Nhat claimed victory, stating that she had found VanLuuXuong within half an hour. MacXanh, feeling conflicted, questioned his decision to let her go. Thich Nhat, feeling triumphant, warned MacXanh not to interfere, as she was willing to face the consequences. Later, on a boat sailing on the sea, a male and two females sat at a table, drinking wine. The girl displayed hostility, and VanLuuXuong, noticing her expression, couldn't help but comment on how difficult it was for men to like such a demeanor. The girl suggested that VanLuuXuong should stick to MacXanh Thien to see if he would fall for her. Outside the boat, MacXahn's subordinates reported that MacXanh Thien's people were ready, and they would soon come to find their young master. Miss Van Amhai continued to follow closely. MacXanh instructed his subordinates to rescue VanLuuXuong once MacXanh Thien left. Diamond, overhearing, mocked VanLuuXuong as a green tea girl and predicted that she would follow MacXanh Thien willingly. Back on the boat, MacXanh Thien and MacXanh Thien stood aside, having a private conversation. MacXanh Thien reiterated his offer to help, emphasizing that MacXanh should not act against VanLuuXuong, and she should be handed over to him. MacXanh Thien agreed, but mentioned that VanLuuXuong had to stay here for 2 more days. As MacXanh Thien left, Thich Nhat couldn't contain herself and threatened VanLuuXuong with a gun. Diamond, recognizing Su Kan Na, mocked her further. VanLuuXuong, feeling like a hostage, spoke up, stating that she would only have value if alive. Thich Nhat, unimpressed, warned her not to be arrogant. VanLuuXuong, trying to defuse the situation, turned to Amhai, professing her love for Nam Vien Hang and claiming that holding her captive would only help her save him. Thich Nhat, annoyed, reminded her that if she died, the life charm would transfer to her, making her the life charm. Thich Nhat then decided to find an opportunity to escape and make use of her invisibility. A mysterious group approached MacXanh, openly declaring their presence and telling him to go to hell. The leader revealed that they were no longer hiding since MacXanh had discovered them. They instructed him to surrender, threatening him with guns. MacXanh flew up to dodge the bullets and then charged towards the enemy from behind. With one shot, he took down an opponent. After a few rounds of gunfire, all the enemies were defeated. Just as he was about to clean up, a hidden assailant shot MacXanh in the back. The bullet pierced through his abdomen, and his whole body was drenched in fresh blood as he fell to the ground. The person behind felt victorious, laughing triumphantly. Diamond's fame is shining brightly, but today it will end in my hands. MacXanh turned to look, and to his surprise, Nam Vien Hang was holding a gun aimed at him. MacXanh never expected that he would be ambushed. The attacker turned out to be a business rival. Nam Vien Hang taunted MacXanh, saying, "Let this sea become your grave today. Don't struggle anymore." He was about to shoot again, but MacXanh swiftly dodged the bullet and ran into the ship's cabin to escape. Nam Vien Hang, surprised by MacXahn's evasion, shouted, "You haven't given up yet. I told you, there's nowhere to run." Outside the cabin, Hai stood ready, while VanLuuXuong, inside the cabin, couldn't stay still. Taking advantage of Thich Nat's distraction, she intended to use invisibility, but MacXanh Thien helped her before she could act. Thich Nhat fainted, and MacXanh Thien pulled VanLuuXuong back, saying, "Go with me." The sound of their hurried footsteps faded away, leaving Thich Nhat unconscious. When Hai seized the opportunity to enter the cabin, VanLuuXuong disappeared, leaving MacXanh Thien alone. Thich Nhat remained unconscious, and when Hai moved towards her, MacXanh Thien quickly grabbed Thich Nhat and carried her towards MacXanh. The two ran, and MacXanh found a room, jumping inside. Nam Vien Hang, seeing this, laughed mockingly, thinking that MacXanh had nowhere to escape. He pushed the door, confidently saying, nowhere to run." Then he squeezed the trigger, and the girl's scream echoed. Nam Vien Hang suddenly realized that the person he shot wasn't MacXanh. It was Thich Nhat. She rolled to the ground, bleeding, and questioned, "Why did you kill me?" Nam Vien Hang, caught off guard, tried to explain, but Thich Nhat rejected any apology. MacXanh swiftly handled everything, asking VanLuuXuong where she had taken Thich Nhat. Hai, uncertain, scratched his head. Seeing his hesitation, MacXanh repeated the question. Hai finally admitted he didn't know and stood there scratching his head. MacXanh, feeling helpless, turned back and asked, "Didn't you hear her?" Hai replied, "Yes, I heard. But young master, I sent her to the Kerr family." Nam Vien Hang, wanting to clarify, approached and questioned MacXanh about deceiving him. MacXanh ignored him and turned to Hai, who confirmed that MacXanh Thien had disappeared with VanLuuXuong. MacXanh, hearing the name, became more worried. His girlfriend, known for her dominance, had been forcibly kissed, and now he learned the truth while MacXanh Thien had disappeared with VanLuuXuong. Worried about his friend, MacXanh couldn't bear to stay still. MacXanh saw him daring to forcefully kiss his girlfriend, didn't say anything and intended to follow, while VanLuuXuong silently thought about why he ran like that. She called his name loudly, but MacXanh, still angry, ignored her. She continued to babble on like she lost her mind. MacXanh hugged him tightly and said, "Find a girl who deserves it." VanLuuXuong observed the two's posture, burst into laughter, and thought how the CEO was about to jump into the sea for a girl, but was stopped by his brother. MacXanh, furious, asked why he was there. MacXanh sat up and said, I heard that this old lady escaped from your grasp, so I came to watch. MacXanh, hearing their conversation, suddenly remembered the incident a few days ago. It turned out that the person ManhWa mentioned was MacXanh. She walked over and teased, so Mr. Mac also has a memorable love story. MacXanh stood there, teased by her, and pointed at MacXanh. My family's CEO is scrutinizing my private life. MacXanh was speechless. MacXanh laughed and thought, this innocent guy suddenly became so naive. I don't remember knowing him. MacXanh left, and MacXanh, still jealous, approached. He asked, why are you here, MacXanh, and now you want MacXanh? MacXanh, hearing his tone, thought, forget it, I forgot there's still a big devil. She turned around, smiling awkwardly. What are you saying? I forgot that half man, half woman. I forgot for a long time. MacXanh listened to their conversation, suddenly recalling the incident a few days ago involving ManhWa, who turned out to be MacXanh. She stepped forward to Mock. What? Mr. Mock also has a deep-seated love. MacXanh was teased and waved her hand to dismiss. I am the White Horse Prince, not afraid of a lack of girls. Saying that, he turned and left. MacXanh, hearing their conversation, suddenly remembered the incident a few days ago. ManhWa turned out to be MacXanh. She stepped forward to tease. What? Mr. Mock also has a deep-seated love. MacXanh was teased and waved her hand to dismiss. I am the White Horse Prince, not afraid of a lack of girls. Saying that, he turned and left. MacXanh, still jealous, approached again. Why, MacXanh is gone, and now you want MacXanh. MacXanh, hearing his tone, thought, forget it, I forgot there's still a big devil. She turned around, smiling awkwardly. What are you saying? I forgot that half man, half woman. I forgot for a long time. MacXanh listened and, still suspicious, asked if he's dead. Hai answered, not yet. Mr. Nam Vien Han shot himself once. MacXanh, hearing that, wondered how he could die like that. He hadn't tortured him yet, but the CEO was domineering and dictatorial. Only the girl in front of him could soften his heart. Hearing that Nam Vien Han committed suicide, MacXanh doubted and asked if he was dead. Hai replied, not yet. Mr. Nam Vien Han shot himself once. MacXanh heard the news and thought, how could he die like that? I haven't tormented him yet, but the CEO is overbearing and domineering. Only that girl can soften his heart. Hearing that Nam Vien Han committed suicide, MacXanh doubted and asked if he was dead. Hai replied, not yet. Mr. Nam Vien Han shot himself once. At that time, he was calling Mr. MacXanh Han, and the other party was sending someone over. MacXanh heard this, turned and told Hien Viendu to handle it. If this matter isn't resolved, don't dream of cooperating with him again. Hai replied, yes. After exchanging information, MacXanh closed the door and returned to MacXanh's room. Seeing MacXanh calm down, MacXanh thought that maybe he wouldn't bully her anymore. MacXanh looked at MacXanh, feeling quite confused, bent down, and asked, how about you and MacXanh? MacXanh turned away, and MacXanh lifted her face, asking, tell me first, do you believe it? MacXanh said so, and MacXanh lowered her face. She explained, he brought me out of Katiknan. We hid in this room. I don't know why he suddenly went crazy. I helped him take medicine, and then he probably lost his mind and kissed me. After that, he jumped into the sea. When he saw him, he was planning to die for a girl, but his brother stopped him. MacXanh, suspicious, asked, really? MacXanh saw his suspicion, smiled, and continued, you said you wouldn't believe it, and you asked me. I was taken away. She couldn't use invisibility, because during her match with Tikhan, someone broke her invisibility, so she dared not use it anymore. MacXanh, hearing that, worried. Recalling the incident in the auditorium, could it be that something had rushed in? After a moment of contemplation, MacXanh suddenly realized and said, "You told MacXanh that he was sick. Why didn't you take advantage of it to escape at that time?" VanLuuXuong, feeling a bit uncomfortable, replied, "Because I'm not a heartless person. MacXanh helped me a lot. Even though he has bad intentions towards me this time, I can't ignore his past kindness. So, I can't let him die because of me. As for myself, I'm leaving." MacXanh, with a cold expression, treats her kindly. VanLuuXuong immediately argues that she is kind like that. She thinks he probably doesn't want to keep someone indifferent and meaningless by his side. MacXanh coldly laughs, looking at her falling into contemplation, praising her for being indifferent and meaningless for a lifetime. He has dealt with many indifferent and meaningless people in his life, men and women of all kinds, but this is the first time he has met a girl like her. MacXanh feels warm. He asks, "If one day I encounter danger, you won't abandon me, right?" VanLuuXuong firmly responds, "Of course not." MacXanh gently embraces her, his voice low, "I hope you won't deceive me, or else I won't forgive you." VanLuuXuong feels a bit heartbroken, wondering how much pain he has endured to become like this. There were times when he seemed very domineering, but now thinking back, he turns out to be a child without a sense of security, a domineering CEO teased by his girlfriend, blushing and embarrassed, not knowing what to do on the yacht. MacXanh sees the fragile appearance of his daughter, feeling heartbroken. Tikhan, obedient daughter. Finally, what happened? ManhWa standing nearby answers, "The doctor on the yacht has treated her. Fortunately, she was only shot in the shoulder. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous. However, the bullet hit her shoulder with a sharp tip, resulting in a fractured collarbone." ManhWa curses silently. Why did this guy reveal all the details to make things difficult for us? MacXanh gets angry, scolding ManhWa directly. "You promised to protect my daughter. Why did you let her get injured like this?" MacXanh orders someone to get a stretcher, carrying Tikhan away. ManhWa pats ManhWa's shoulder mockingly. "Your eldest brother's plan doesn't seem to work well. Ha! You better stay in the house." ManhWa, hearing this, is furious, accusing him of colluding with MacXanh, not afraid of bringing wolves into the house. "In the end, you will be eaten by him." ManhWa laughs coldly, bringing wolves into the house. "So, your eldest brother still considers me family, huh? It's a pity I have nothing to do with these two words, ManhWa. Of course, it's still important to him. It's just a matter of losing the help from the Kerr family. Can he protect these two words? Talking like that, he leaves them behind." ManhWa stands still on the yacht. ManhWa and MacXanh are exchanging secrets. This time, his plan didn't go well. ManhWa responds coldly, "ManhWa just leaves it to me. I'll make sure he dies. Then Simon can only rely on him." MacXanh crosses his arms over his chest and says, "Simon, the city S is also a good burial place." Back to VanLuuXuong. She dreams of running, her snow-white feet stepping on the green grass, making a rustling sound. Behind her, someone keeps calling her. Suddenly a lightning bolt cuts across the sky, striking down on VanLuuXuong's head. VanLuuXuong screams, suddenly waking up. "Oh my God, fortunately, it's just a scary dream." But when she is still in shock, suddenly there is a hand reaching out next to her, making her startled. MacXanh asks, "What happened?" "Suddenly I heard you sighing." "Why are you here? I thought you went to sleep." MacXanh acts cute, saying he felt uneasy about her, so he came to check. Hearing him say that, VanLuuXuong feels sweet in her heart. She moves aside, saying, If you're not at ease, then sleep here. I'll share half of the bed with you. MacXanh feels the initiative from her. Blushing and embarrassed, he doesn't know what to do. This beautiful girl is a fox spirit who was cultivated for 1,000 years. VanLuuXuong knows about the fox spirit, merrily inviting everyone to transform into foxes and play. Langhai also cooperates. LuuXuong, rarely gathering with them, also transforms into a fox to join the fun. Talking about foxes, the red fox is extremely fond of acting cute, always adorable and lovely. VanLuuXuong curiously asks, "Wow, I want to see." So the two of them start acting cute, hugging VanLuuXuong's legs, to see how adorable LuuXuong can be. LuuXuong, being embraced by them, is also helpless. "I agree, but I have a condition. You guys have to maintain this appearance, run a lap around the building. As long as you're not caught, I will turn into a fox and play with you." VanLuuXuong says, "Okay, deal." LuuXuong adds, "And no hiding, got it?" Hearing this condition, VanLuuXuong sighs. The two girls quickly take action. VanLuuXuong asks them to start running like that. "Should be fine, right?" Langhai reassures her. "If something happens to LuuXuong, it will boost our confidence. Let's go." Saying that, the two of them bravely run out of the building. People see two foxes bustling around screaming. Where did these two foxes come from? Quick, catch them. That's a silver fox. Its fur is valuable. So, the two foxes are chased in circles. VanLuuXuong observed a flower vase, secretly thinking, "Let's see how I can play them." So she hid behind the flower vase, trying to stay still. Unbeknownst to her, she didn't realize her head and tail were sticking out, revealing a tuft of fur. Seeing everyone run around, VanLuuXuong felt proud. She had transformed into a fox to save herself from danger before, but now transforming into a playful fox seemed like fun. As she was gleefully crawling out, a man grabbed her tail. "MacXanh, the fox escaped from me last time, huh?" MacXanh said. VanLuuXuong, upon seeing him, thought, "Why am I so unlucky to be caught?" She wanted to witness LuuXuong's transformation, but MacXanh approached her, gently holding the little fox. "Once again, you fall into my hands, little fox. Before, you said I had to teach you a lesson. How shall I discipline you now?" MacXanh teased. Langhai, witnessing the scene, laughed at VanLuuXuong's misery. "Caught by your man again. I won't bother you any more." "But where's MacXanh Thien?" Langhai asked. MacXanh, consoling VanLuuXuong, said, "Don't worry. I don't want to harm you. I only hope you won't endanger yourself." VanLuuXuong felt touched, looking up at MacXanh with deep emotion. "I may not believe in destiny, but you fear harming me. Despite your cold exterior, you show warmth to me." Feeling a connection, VanLuuXuong made a move, leaning into MacXanh. "Actually, I'm not afraid," she said passionately. MacXanh, caught off guard by her sudden enthusiasm, felt a bit flustered. Meanwhile, MacXanh Thien was bemused by the situation. "What's wrong with this fox? Is it in heat or something? I'll call a vet to check it out." VanLuuXuong, in response to MacXanh Thien's comment, started to act even more affectionately. MacXanh Thien and MacXanh comforted her, assuring that everything was okay. VanLuuXuong, playing along, acted cute and cuddly, making MacXanh uncomfortable. In another part of the story, Langhai, now back in human form, and LuuXuong decided to leave. LuuXuong asked if they were going to the next mission. Langhai replied, "We're heading to Aston's castle." LuuXuong, worried about the mission, urged them to go. Back in the corporate building, VanLuuXuong was sitting like a lucky charm. MacXanh was engrossed in reading documents, and MacXanh Thien approached them. Hien Vindu is indeed cunning. In a short time, he managed to subdue the entire group. Nan Vien Hang is seriously injured, and his humiliation trick didn't work. K King Kwok scolded him, And now he's furious. Why did he cooperate with MacXanh? Isn't he afraid of bringing a wolf into the house? MacXanh said, criticizing ManhWa Vien Han. MacXanh replied, I don't fear bringing a wolf into the house. VanLuuXuong, still in fox form, overheard the conversation and thought, I might get discovered if MacXanh realizes I'm a fox, and VanLuuXuong is also a fox. This could complicate things. Hin Vien Du and MacXanh discussed their successful plan to take down the Hin Vien Corporation. MacXanh, somewhat impressed, remarked, You indeed have many tricks up your sleeve. In just a short time, you've solved the Hin Vien issue. MacXanh, however, had a different concern. I don't want to harm her. My mother named me MacXanh with the hope that everyone would be a stranger to me. I won't leave any emotional attachment to them. If someone dies because of me, I won't feel sad. Unfortunately, I couldn't achieve that. I hope VanLuuXuong and I remain as friends. If she truly becomes my girl, it will lead to a situation I can't imagine, and I don't want her to take risks, MacXanh confessed. VanLuuXuong, deeply moved, reassured him, I don't mind. I love you. If that's what you're worried about, I can accept it. VanLuuXuong's sudden warmth surprised MacXanh, who appeared a bit perplexed. MacXanh, astounded by VanLuuXuong's outburst, commented, Is this fox in heat or something? I might need to send it to the vet. VanLuuXuong, hearing this, immediately jumped up, scratching and playfully growling. MacXanh teased, I guess it's showing some affection. I'll call the vet to check on it. VanLuuXuong, continuing her act, showed her playful side, making MacXanh and MacXanh laugh. In another scene, Lang Hai and Lu Triet, now transformed back to their human forms, decided to leave for the next mission, heading to Aston's castle. Lu Triet questioned MacXahn's decision to take VanLuuXuong to Europe. MacXanh assured her that Kona wouldn't be a problem and promised to explain the situation to Kona's father. Back in the corporate building, VanLuuXuong, now sitting like a charm, MacXanh engrossed in documents, and MacXanh approaching them. The story continued with the news of Halangmin wanting to meet MacXanh. VanLuuXuong felt quite strange. She almost forgot about Halangmin. What was he looking for in MacXanh? MacXanh, known for decisively dealing with enemies, seemed to have lost his masculinity. Halangmin, now sitting ostentatiously, coldly stared at MacXanh. The two exchanged glances for a while. Observing Halangmin's discomfort, he stood up and started to scold him. You're the one supporting VanLuuXuong, right? VanLuuXuong asked. MacXanh, standing nearby, couldn't hold back her laughter, finding the situation absurd, talkative and delusional. I have compromising photos of her. If you don't give me money, I'll expose them on the internet, Halangmin threatened. VanLuuXuong, seizing the opportunity, began scratching and growling to intimidate him. MacXanh, however, remained calm, unimpressed by Halangmin's threats. What's the purpose of demanding money now? Even if I had a lot, I wouldn't return to being a man. What's the use of money when I don't need it? VanLuuXuong remembered the night MacXanh was kicked by someone. Could it be that MacXanh was beaten up that night, she thought. MacXanh, amused by MacXahn's response, teased, I heard your company has collapsed and you have debts everywhere. Now, even if you had money, you wouldn't have the status of a man. You're probably just playing around. Halangmin, frustrated, continued his verbal attack, prompting VanLuuXuong to retaliate. She suddenly leaped towards him, expressing her resentment. MacXanh, witnessing the scene, felt VanLuuXuong's anger. As Halangmin threatened to expose compromising photos of VanLuuXuong, VanLuuXuong, with a vengeful look, jumped and scratched Halangmin's face. MacXanh, amused by the spectacle, complimented VanLuuXuong on her ferociousness. Meanwhile, Halangmin, frightened, begged them to stop. Attempting to maintain his composure, Halangmin pulled out his phone threatening to release the compromising photos. However, MacXanh, unfazed, approached him, crushing the phone under his foot. VanLuuXuong, impressed by MacXahn's actions, felt satisfied seeing Halangmin in distress. MacXanh, maintaining his calm demeanor, called MacXanh Thien, instructing her to investigate Halangmin's recent contacts thoroughly. He emphasized the need to erase any compromising photos Halangmin had. While MacXanh Thien was busy with the task, MacXanh turned to VanLuuXuong, instructing her to go outside. As MacXanh Thien left, MacXanh finally spoke about MacXanh Thien. Halangmin, still trying to play it tough, was curious about what MacXanh Thien had said. However, MacXanh, unimpressed, shot Halangmin in the leg. Halangmin screamed in pain, prompting MacXanh to explain his reasoning. MacXanh Thien told me about your threat. She disappeared right in front of me, floating in the air. She even pretended to be a demon threatening me. However, she disappeared just before my eyes. Do you find this strange? MacXanh questioned. VanLuuXuong, sensing MacXahn's serious tone, watched attentively. MacXanh continued, stating that MacXanh Thien claimed to have a secret involving VanLuuXuong's mother. Halangmin, realizing he was in trouble, reluctantly admitted that he had been threatened by MacXanh Thien. MacXanh, now satisfied with the information, demanded Halangmin not to reveal any secrets. He then called MacXanh Thien to instruct her to erase the compromising photos and to avoid looking at them. As MacXanh and VanLuuXuong processed the situation, they were shocked by the revelation that VanLuuXuong's mother had been involved. MacXanh, deep in thought, questioned the authenticity of the information, while VanLuuXuong looked at him with a mix of love and concern. MacXanh, after calling MacXanh Thien, maintained a stern expression, stating that he wouldn't kill Halangmin, but would make him live a life worse than death. MacXahn's actions displayed his resolve, but VanLuuXuong, overwhelmed by the sudden revelation, couldn't help but express her disapproval. VanLuuXuong pleaded with MacXanh not to shoot Halangmin. She revealed that the person, VanLuuXuong's mother, was her mother as well. MacXanh and VanLuuXuong were stunned, realizing their family connection. MacXahn's face darkened as he listened to the revelation, and he decided to take a more measured approach. After some tense moments, MacXanh signaled his subordinates to take Halangmin away. The episode concluded with MacXanh and VanLuuXuong facing the complex situation involving VanLuuXuong's mother. Halangmin has left, leaving VanLuuXuong full of doubts about what just happened. She only knows that her parents are silver foxes, but the rest remains a mystery. Why will there suddenly be a grudge against her mother, who is the beloved fox of MacXahn's mother? While lost in thought, MacXanh approached and lifted her. "Little fox, you seem to understand human nature. Did you know my mother before?" he asked, his eyes showing a hint of loneliness. VanLuuXuong couldn't find the words to reply. MacXanh gently stroked her head and sighed. "If my mother's words are true, then I was born as a result of my mother harming you. Without someone pushing my mother into the trap, I wouldn't have been born into this family." Thinking about it, MacXanh felt even more sorrowful. VanLuuXuong, sensing his sadness, couldn't help but look at him with a mix of love and concern. MacXanh expressed his desire for a little fox that could provide answers. He continued, "But if what my mother said is true, then the little fox has a bond with my mother. She was always talking about how foxes have a special connection with her. Perhaps you two truly know each other." VanLuuXuong was unsure how to respond. MacXanh comforted her, expressing his longing for a fox to give him answers. Yet at the same time, he acknowledged the possibility that if his mother was responsible for harming VanLuuXuong, it could have led to her unfortunate birth. VanLuuXuong couldn't fathom the complex web of relationships and secrets. MacXanh, with a heavy heart, mentioned that he hoped the little fox would help him find answers. Realizing the depth of the situation, VanLuuXuong couldn't ignore the sadness in MacXahn's eyes. MacXanh decided to take a more measured approach. He wanted to understand the truth behind the circumstances involving VanLuuXuong's mother and was determined to make Min live a life worse than death. VanLuuXuong, however, couldn't bear MacXanh, feeling the warmth from VanLuuXuong's proximity, struggled to maintain composure. VanLuuXuong skillfully used her charm to distract him, knowing that MacXanh was susceptible to her influence. MacXanh, in turn, found it challenging to resist her advances as the atmosphere in the office became increasingly charged. VanLuuXuong, with a mischievous smile, continued her playful teasing. "Can you let me attend Deep's birthday tomorrow? It won't take long, I promise," she sweetly pleaded. MacXanh, caught off guard by her boldness, hesitated for a moment before regaining his composure. "This is a command, not a request. You will accompany me to the B city immediately," he asserted firmly, trying to maintain his authoritative stance. VanLuuXuong, undeterred, persisted in her attempt to change his mind. She leaned in closer, her lips forming a seductive pout, and said, "But it's just a birthday party. What harm could it do to let me stay for a little while?" MacXanh, struggling to resist the allure, held his ground. "I have responsibilities, and I cannot afford any delay." "You will follow me," he reiterated, his tone unwavering. As the tension escalated, VanLuuXuong decided to escalate her tactics. With a swift movement, she placed her hands on MacXahn's shoulders, looking deeply into his eyes. "Just a few hours, please. I promise to make it up to you," she whispered in a sultry tone. MacXanh, feeling the intensity of the moment, took a deep breath. He knew he needed to maintain control, but VanLuuXuong's persuasive tactics were wearing down his defenses. The two engaged in a silent battle of wills, each trying to assert dominance over the other. Just as the atmosphere reached its peak, the sudden interruption of a ringing phone shattered the tension. MacXanh's urgent call about an incident in B City forced MacXanh to refocus on the pressing matter at hand. Reluctantly, MacXanh stood up, distancing himself from VanLuuXuong. "We will discuss this later. For now, we have more important issues to attend to," he declared, his expression stern. VanLuuXuong, realizing that her attempt had been unsuccessful, suppressed her disappointment and nodded. MacXanh swiftly left the office, leaving VanLuuXuong to reflect on her daring maneuver. The unresolved tension lingered in the air as both of them grappled with the unspoken dynamics of their relationship. VanLuuXuong, realizing the urgency of the situation, quickly left the store, leaving the confused shop assistant behind. She joined ManhWa, who was standing outside, anxiously waiting. "Where is she? Did you see her?" VanLuuXuong asked ManhWa frantically. ManhWa scratched his head. "I didn't see her. She went in with a guy, and then the shop assistant kicked me out." VanLuuXuong's worry deepened. She knew she had to find Simon and ensure the safety of her friends. Grabbing ManhWa's arm, she urged him to follow her. They hurriedly made their way through the crowded streets, searching for any sign of Simon or her friends. Meanwhile, inside the store, the shop assistant found VanLuuXuong's bag left behind in the fitting room. She examined the contents and discovered VanLuuXuong's ID card. Realizing the situation, she rushed out to inform the authorities. VanLuuXuong and ManhWa, in their frantic search, finally spotted Simon and his group at a nearby cafe. Simon grinned as he saw VanLuuXuong approaching, confident in the control he seemed to have over the situation. "What do you want?" VanLuuXuong demanded, her voice filled with a mix of anger and concern. Simon chuckled. "Calm down, my dear. We're just having a little chat. Sit down." VanLuuXuong hesitated, but eventually sat down, her eyes never leaving Simon's face. ManhWa stood protectively by her side, ready to intervene if necessary. Simon leaned in, his tone low and dangerous. "Now let's talk about a little exchange. I'll release your friends unharmed if you do something for me. VanLuuXuong's eyes narrowed. What do you want? Simon smirked. Simple. I need you to get me some confidential information from MacXanh. You have connections with him. If you cooperate, your friends will be safe. VanLuuXuong clenched her fists, her mind racing. She knew she had to play along for now to ensure her friend's safety. Little did Simon know, VanLuuXuong was not one to be underestimated, and she was already plotting her next move to outsmart him.